Ho, ho, ho.
Oh.
Merry Dismas.
That scared me.
Well, welcome to another night in the Crippen household. You join us in the squashy armchairs by the fire.
Gonna say as we dig our way through the snow. That is Christmas.
As we unwind and escape the chaos of Christmas by chatting all about Christmas.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't really make much sense, but oh well.
Really distract you from the chaos of Christmas by reminding you how chaotic Christmas is.
Yeah, we're going to be chatting all about Christmas when you have a baby and toddler and the challenges and all that fun stuff. I should probably say the Dismas thing is because Lily...
Last year, couldn't say Christmas.
Yeah.
So she kept going, Merry Dismas.
Merry Dismas. If you don't know us by now, well, this isn't, what are you doing here? You're starting here.
Start at the beginning.
If you don't know who we are, go back and listen to the other ones.
Yeah.
This isn't the place to start. This is our special Christmas special
Woohoo!
episode. Special? Are you excited?
I don't know if you can mention the word special more times in it.
Are you excited?
I am excited. I feel like it sounds a bit forced. I am. Promise.
Emma, what is special about this episode today?
We have a special guest, and it is Vicki.
Yeah, it's a bit of an experiment, really, because usually we don't have guests, so this is why it's a special episode. We have a special friend, a special guest coming on.
Yeah.
We've done one before with your sister Becky in our first series. In actual fact, that's like our most popular
Our best performing
episode ever.
Turns out, without Elliot, we do really well.
What do we say? People like specifically looking through like, there's one without Elliot. I'm going to enjoy this.
No, I think it was a very interesting topic to do with like French versus English parenting.
Could well be. Either way, we're probably going to do more of them as we go along. So whether you like having guests or not, it's tough. It's going to happen.
We're not saying it'll be every week. Don't worry. You'll get to hear us both most of the time.
Yeah, definitely. Something I just wanted to mention at the top of the episode before we dive in. There's a lot of mention of like church and stuff in this episode because obviously it's kind of
how we know each other.
We do a lot as well around Christmas. I think a lot of people do kind of engage with some churchy things around Christmas.
Yeah, normally, even if it's just like they normally have a lot of activities going on for children and things.
And if you're long-time listeners, or friends of ours even, you'll know, we're Christians and stuff. It doesn't really matter. If you're not interested or, fussed about the church side of things, that's fine. We don't mind.
No.
We don't care.
Yeah, part of the listening isn't making you go.
You're very welcome, whatever you believe or whatever you value at Christmas. If, just spending time with family and stuff.
Yep.
To be honest, I mean, I think it comes up in the episode, but... I don't go to church a lot at Christmas.
You don't?
I'm not that fussed. It's not something that's
He's a heathen. That's what you should say.
We don't mind, happy holidays, happy Xmas, and we've called this the Christmas special, but it's not particularly religious. It's just, I just thought we should mention that because church pops up a fair bit.
Yeah.
Ring-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. It's parenting achievement time.
Ba-ba-ba-bum.
It's a special episode, but I still thought it'd be good to share some stories. If you're in our Facebook community group for listeners and parents, then you'll have already heard some of this story as we shared it live when it happened. But I thought you could share how it's gone this year doing an advent calendar.
Oh, how it's gone. One could say very successful in that it has been opened. Or one could say unsuccessful in that basically all the chocolates are gone.
So this is the first year that we attempted to do an advent calendar with Lily, because it's the first year that she kind of understands what's going on and what's happening with Christmas, which is exciting.
It is.
And so we got an advent calendar. We got a cheap chocolate one, but I suppose we maybe should have anticipated it with a toddler. Lily wasn't very restrained, and so as soon as she realised there's chocolate behind each door...
Yeah. She just sat there opening them.
The first day of Advent, she was like, well, I want more chocolate.
And we tried to give her, we had a bar of chocolate. She didn't want that because she wanted the opening process.
We try to be strict. We try to do it, but she's 2.5. She's a toddler.
Also, in our defence, the way I excused it is me and Lily were going to be gone for basically 5 days. So I kept being like, well, she can have 5 days worth because by the time we get back, we'll be back on track.
This is probably where we went wrong. But yeah, she kind of had a bit of a meltdown and a tantrum, which we finally were like, this is not worth it. We'll just give in. And so she
just won't get another advent calendar.
And then, so it kind of worked. She made up the 5 days that you were away for.
She did. I've had like
But then
6
when
days.
you came back from your trip away, she then demolished most of the rest of the calendar.
Now she's got 3 left and she refuses to touch it. So I do wonder if we'll get past the point of Christmas and be like, do you want to eat these? And she'll be like, well, no, the excitement's gone. I've had like, in 2 bits, I've basically had loads of them. And now it's not that exciting.
So this has gone well. A great parenting fail from us.
Yeah.
It hasn't worked. Not at all how we planned.
I'm hoping next year we can be more constrained.
Oh, it should just be older, so it might work better. We might have less tantrums.
Yeah,
Who knows? Parenting's a mystery. We don't always get it right, and that's why we tell these stories.
Yep.
If you have a parenting story or fail, or something that's happened Christmassy related that's not gone to plan, a lot of that happens over Christmas.
Yeah.
I feel. A lot of things don't go to plan. Then let us know. We'd love to hear. We'll touch on some bits from me that I really want to pick up with afterwards. So join us after we've had a chat with Vicki. So Vicki is a good friend of ours who we met kind of through church. I say kind of through church because actually we arrived here in Harrogate, where we live, as our little family in kind of just before lockdown.
Yeah, and not as a little family. Lily was just an egg back then.
That's true. Well, we were a family.
Oh, well, that's true. We were a family just of 2. Yes. We weren't even married.
Good point.
We were just 2 cohabitating buddies.
Oh, there you go.
I think we were engaged. We weren't like flatmates.
That's how we introduced ourselves to people. Hi, we're Emma and Elliot. We're the 2 cohabitating buddies. We first encountered Vicki and Mark.
We met Mark. I hadn't met Vicki. I remember he put on Facebook, him and his wife, they were really cute. They did like 2 snowmen and then a little snowman were expecting a baby. And I think he'd put the date. And I was like, oh, she's like as far along as we are. And we've just met him and he was friendly. So I ended up messaging him, quite an odd message, to be like, would it be okay if you sent me your wife's details so I can talk to her because we're pregnant too?
Please introduce me to your wife.
Yes.
Because we're both pregnant.
We're both pregnant. I know we can't physically meet, but we're going through the stuff at the same time. And he was really nice. I was like, yeah, of course, congratulations.
And so you made friends and chatted all the way through your pregnancy.
Yeah.
And the first time you met was then when you both had babies, I think.
No, she was literally the day before she went into labour we met because she brought us some stuff round. And then she said it was after seeing me, she thinks her baby Macy was like, well, that's it. My buddy's out. Like, I'm coming.
So, yeah, I think we briefly mentioned our children are 1 week apart in age. Macy and Lily are really good friends and often play and see each other at church.
Yeah.
So it's Vicki and Mark, and they have a daughter, Macy, and they have another one on the way.
Yeah, very exciting. And let's say, when it's me and a guest, I'm not very good at controlling. As in, I just let us go and talk about any old thing. And Elliot's in the background going, guys, we're going to cover this bit at Christmas. And I'm like, okay, right, all right, we'll get there. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was meant to be a conversation with Emma, but you will hear my voice pop up occasionally in the background, steering the conversation in the right direction. And that's why my funny little voice pops up and goes, guys, should we get back on track? Stick on a Christmas film for the kids, and let's dive into talking about Christmas.
With me today is Vicki.
Hi.
She's our friend from church, and our children are 1 week apart in age, which really bonds us mainly.
It is very useful having someone going through the same stuff at the same time.
And then you go, have you experienced this thing? And that, yeah.
Is my toddler particularly weird, or is yours also a little bit odd? Yeah.
Are you a Christmassy person?
I asked Mark this and he said no, but I think he was talking about himself. Relatively Christmassy, I think.
Yeah. Some people put the tree up and everything very, very early.
Yeah, that's not me.
No, but I think that's because we're also not that organised.
We're still squirreling through we have a Trello board to organise Christmas, and we still haven't got everything sorted, and I'm still hounding him for answers on various things and getting things done.
This is Christmas cards.
Oh, yes.
Have to write all the Christmas cards, and I give him a little number to do, and those are the ones that are always still sat on there and not yet sent. And we have a few days left to get them in time to people, and I don't think it's going to happen. It's the problem with you not having a microphone now.
Yeah.
I can just be like, this is something he's done wrong.
No defence. Oh.
I did do some.
You did do some. And some of them were sent. Are you an arty/crafty person? I would say you are.
I certainly was pre-children.
The old me.
The old me with all those free evenings, and what on earth did I ever do with them? Nothing productive. I can't even pretend I cleaned the house because it's just...
We didn't need that much cleaning about them.
Well, true, there was less chaos, yes. But yeah, definitely used to be. I was saying to Mark the other day, this new baby is not even getting a blanket at this rate. It's just not happening, kid, sorry. We'll have to share big sisters, it'll be fine.
I'm afraid you're the second one. I can't...
This is it, get used to it.
Yeah.
No, this year mostly I've done arts and crafty bits with the kids at church, which has been quite nice, or with Macy, which has been good. So it's still arts and crafts, but definitely different.
Now. I always say, like, I used to do paintings, and I'm like, now I just, do paintings with Lily, but it's more like focused on the toddler doing it rather than you doing it.
Otherwise your kitchen gets covered in, everything.
What we're doing, like, painting pots. We can go there quite a bit to paint little bits because she enjoys doing that. What are you doing for Christmas this year?
Oh, we tend to run around like lunatics on Christmas Day, which I kind of like, to be honest. We have plenty of opportunity to not do that, but it's just nice to see everybody, and Mark's got a lot of family, or, well, 3 sisters, so it's really just nice to spend a bit more time with them, and then my family, and my brother and his kids, so we've got the nephews to go see.
Do they all live close enough? I know you both
do,
your parents do,
yeah, which is really lucky, yeah, so all of my family are Harrogate and all of his as well, more or less.
Oh, well, that's...
Yeah, there's a few people who come from further away, but they're all in Harrogate for the few days, so that's nice. Yeah, we don't have to go too far.
Yeah, ours is, I think we're the opposite, and then we'd really like not to go anywhere for Christmas. Which would be nice, and we're like, we quite liked it, and everyone was like, we do, but like, I'd like to have it in my own house and just relax. I think because we really liked we were in lockdown. I was heavily pregnant, but I really enjoyed it.
There was something nice about no social expectations during that time, yeah.
And I was like, we can just send people their presents. I don't have to sit and wrap them for ages. And this is when I seem like a Grinch. I'm like, I'm not good at wrapping. Elliot will be a testament to this. And when I'm wrapping, he looks at me like it's painful. Like, he'll give me a look like, what are you doing? Because I don't really measure, I just do by eye. And I'm like, that looks about right.
Yeah.
Then they were like a strip that doesn't... So I have to cut off a random strip to stick it on to hide what I've just done. He's quite scientific about it, so he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, I didn't do it long enough, so now I've got to cut out another strip and put it on.
You're good at bows, though.
I'm very good at bows. That's why all my things normally have a bow on.
Hides a multitude of things. Absolutely.
Because if you tie it around like a big old-fashioned thing, people are very impressed by that, and they don't look at the wrapping. That's a good hint for anyone. Bows. Excellent, you're a bad rapper.
Yes.
We're at your parents' for Christmas Day. We're staying over there for about 2 days. And then we're off to my parents' for the big Womble party that's in the village hall.
I can imagine that big is big with your family.
How many people are we having?
If everyone came, it would be 30.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's gonna... I don't think everybody will come, but I think it's gonna be big, so... Yeah. Looking forward to it, but also kind of, it's a lot of people to see, and it'll be quite intimidating for Lily, so...
Yes.
It's going to be
Yeah, it's a lot for us, and then you think, gosh, if I was 2 years old, this would be really too much. Yep.
And my mum, she gets very excited, but then she's also like, I'm very excited, but I'm also going to crash at some point, and everything's going to be wrong with the world.
Yep.
So...
It's knowing when that's going to be, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's things like that I never understood 3 years ago. I was clueless. You can parent anything when you're not a parent, can't you? It's just... But,
it's fine. You're like, it won't be fine. Like, I'll have a horrendous day of me trying to get her to do things and she's not going to do them. And just... So I think that same thing, but it's prolonged over Christmas, might just...
Yeah, it's going to be tough. It'll also be lovely and magical but there will be really tough bits where you're thinking, oh gosh, why did I do this?
So does Macy have cousins? Like,
She does. So they're a little bit older than her, 5 and 8. So, but it's lovely now, especially 5 and 2.5. That's a really nice gap. So watching those two together nowadays is really good. Whereas when she was born at 2.5 and newborn, it was a bit more, oh, don't sit on the baby.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to that in a few months' time with nearly 3 and newborn. But hey,
Because I'm quite worried when we have our next one, Lily loves babies and that she will just take the child, like, and be, because she already tells me off now when we're playing babies.
It's a different kind of challenge.
It is, yeah.
Oh wow.
Trying to be helpful.
Not sure how it'll go. I think because they'll get quite separate things. Hopefully we'll get away with it and they won't be too... They're probably the case where the boys aren't interested in what she's got, but she'll be after what they've got.
Yeah, I think that's always the younger child's thing, is that, like, that thing looks really cool.
Yeah.
And kind of dangerous, like I wouldn't be allowed it.
It's got more buttons than I'm allowed to play with, etc. Yes, definitely.
But it's because, like, Nassim, Lily, and then Aiden, they all still have quite similar likes. So they're all, like, big Thomas fans. And they all like kind of bluey. So it's kind of
nice.
got enough of an overlap that they get on, but also enough of an overlap that they're gonna like each other's presents.
Yeah.
But we're quite lucky in that she'll have had Christmas at your parents' house, so we won't be with them on that day. We'll be with them for the party. My sister Becky and Laura will be in the same house, and their 2 children are having the same Christmas day. So that might cause tension.
That could be tricky, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to describe what Christmas at my parents' house might be like?
They're not necessarily playful people, if I put it that way. Because my family was always very loud and playful, and you always had very quiet Christmases. So it's quite a contrast. But she will get spoiled rotten, and we haven't discussed how to address this yet, in that they're very excited, but they only have 1 grandchild. So she gets, like, a lot of presents. And we're like, doesn't really need that many presents. Like, if we could kind of just have 1. That would be quite nice. And I know we're not going to get away for 1. I'm just going to say this now. It's not going to happen.
Absolutely.
But we have to play that by ear. I mean, like, at what point do we go, this is too much? Like, that's enough presents for the whole year. Let's just...
And the nice thing about a quiet Christmas is it might be a little less overwhelming apart from gifts. But it might be a bit easier going for her.
I think it will be.
Comes back to that kind of... Before I had a small child, I wouldn't have seen the problem with this, but I now can see the meltdown heading straight for me. Yeah, I think that's going to be one of our concerns on Christmas Day, of just how much chocolate is there available, and particularly in the evening we go for a nice Christmas buffet, and even last year she was good at wandering through and, oh, that's at Macy. I'll have one of those. I'm like, oh gosh. This year she can reach so much further back on the table. Yeah.
She'll just eat anything.
Destined, absolutely.
Do you have any other traditions?
Not especially.
You sound very like this. We haven't started any traditions yet either.
No, we do. Well, we'll do the usual Christmas Eve stuff, the leaving things out for Santa and that sort of thing. And we've done like a farm visit both years to see Father Christmas,
nice.
And you get to make reindeer food and all of that. So that kind of builds the tradition for you in a way, I suppose, which it's been quite nice. But yeah, beyond that, not especially. And then church Christmas Day.
Yeah, we were saying we don't really have many, but I think Lily's so little. I'm often be like, well, it's not put point making one yet.
That's it. She's not going to remember at this point.
Yeah. And I don't know what yet she'll be really into as a thing to do.
I think it's probably better if they grow naturally, isn't it? Yeah, otherwise you'll put a lot of pressure on yourself just trying to repeat the same things.
We're like, no, we've made a tradition. We've got to keep to it.
How did you find, like, the first Christmas with a baby?
Really trying to remember it.
Yeah. So they were about 6 months old, which meant that they were still at that lovely cuddly stage and everyone wants a snuggle and you're thinking... That's nice, but you're the 7th person to hold her today. And actually, she really needs a nap and a feed and juggling things and makes it a little bit tricky. It's a lot easier now in some ways because at 2, you haven't got a hope of hanging on to her if she doesn't want to be held on to.
This is exactly what we said. We said now it's a lot easier. She will just say she doesn't want a hug from someone. Yeah. And I'm like, well, that's it. Can't make her.
They've got the autonomy now. It's brilliant.
She's just like, nope. And you're like, okay. Whereas, like, when they're a baby, you have to make the decision for them. And then it's a bit harder. Whereas now she's very willful. She's like, I'm not doing that. And you're like, okay, cool. I don't have to tell that person you want to hug them because you told me. So
much easier in a lot of ways.
I get it's difficult because a lot of people, like your parents, really wanted to show us off, but it was at the thing where I'm like, well, she has to nap at this time. And we really need to be in a house. So we can't really go out. Yep. So we had like limited hours, and trying to explain that to other people to be like, we can't just go out for the whole day. Because even at that point, Lily really was set in her routine, and if you went off the routine, it was terrible. So we were like, well, we need to keep the routine, which means we basically have 2 hours to do something if you want to do something. So either have a nap and then have another like 2 or 3 hours, but not long before we're eating and then bedtime. Yeah, I think it was challenging getting people to understand that a toddler's thing is quite limiting. What do you mean with a toddler? A baby's schedule is quite limiting.
I think we contact napped for the first 18 months at least, yeah. She did stop. Well, she didn't at nursery, obviously. They really, I don't know what magic they use to put babies down in their own beds, but I need some of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, with me, there was no way she was accepting anything else. But once she started with my parents and Mark's mum, she was pretty good at napping in a pushchair by that point. But that wasn't that first Christmas, I guess. Yeah.
Because I know some people like just take them out and they're like, we'll go to watch fireworks or something. And they're like, oh, they'll just nap. And I'm like, she wouldn't do that. She wouldn't just nap. She wanted her set things to be able to nap.
So tricky. We probably were those people because one of the places she napped would be in the sling on me.
So it's fine, yeah.
So it was, that was an easy option.
I was very envious of those people because I was like, she's like, fair. Where's my music? I'm not used to this.
Oh, it's so difficult. I nearly cried with gratitude, I think, when we got to Mark's mum's house that first Christmas, because she had literally set aside a little room for me with a nice comfy rocking chair and was like, I thought you might just need a few minutes just with a feeder, calmer, settler. And you know what? It was absolutely magic. There were so many people in that house.
Like heaven at that point.
But she had a fabulous afternoon from there on in because she just had chance to gather herself. Yeah, it was really... Oh, but yeah, it was what I didn't know I needed before I walked in there. And I was like, oh, thank goodness.
There'll be a rule now, like all houses need to have a little room
for the tiny baby to hide in just for half an hour.
Yeah,
but
just for a little bit. Yeah.
Yep.
No, that's a really, really good idea from your mum.
It was. Yeah, well, 4 kids. She knows what she's doing. Yeah.
Do you prefer Christmas with a baby or Christmas with a toddler?
I think with a toddler. Yeah. In that, like, they're really excited. They actually understand a lot more of it. So it's a lot more exciting. Whereas, like, with a baby, you do a lot, but a lot of it's for you.
Absolutely. You're excited about Christmas.
Yeah, you're like, oh, it's the first Christmas. And you get excited. But, like, they have no clue what's going on. So it's not really exciting for them. It's quite nice this year, because, like, Lily goes, Christmas! About things. And you're like, yeah. Whereas last year she said Dishmas. Which was cuter.
Yeah, there's so many of those that I'm going to miss as she gets bigger. I'm like, oh no.
Like, this is why I'm like, Christmas, all the kids are going to behave the worst. Because, like, there's so many situations where they either have to be the bigger person and shout, or they have to wait to, like, have food. Or I have to... So I always think, like, when we see people, I'm like, she's normally really good. Like, outside of the situation, she's a really good child. And you're going to see it at her worst because she's going to be fed up of having to be good all day. So... But it is good sometimes when they go, oh, she's quite well behaved. In my head, I'm like, you have no idea how well behaved she is. You think I was quite well behaved. Because for me, this was really naughty and quite stressful.
Expectations are not there.
Yeah. But then they might just be being polite when they say quite well behaved.
We were at the carol service on Sunday evening, and the phrase I got 3 or 4 times from people I literally had never met before was, "You've got your hands full, haven't you?" Yes,
oh, it's always bad when they say you've got your hands full.
We haven't mentioned that the last few years that Becky stayed with us.
Oh, yes. Last year's people who listen to the podcast. My sister Becky, the French one, normally comes and stays with us for Christmas. So this year's like one of the first years. I mean, they are coming to stay with us before Christmas, but they're not actually staying with us on the day. That'll be a change.
So that's different, like hosting people.
Yeah, I quite like hosting. I know, like, I think because it's my sister and she's very laid back, it's quite easy hosting them because they have children who are fairly a similar age and they're a family that have very similar rules. Yeah. So it makes it very easy for us to all still follow the same rules and, like, it's not that it's not extra work, because it is, but I don't think it's the same as hosting people who you feel are judgy or might judge you or, like, have different expectations or have different rules for their children. So it actually is normally very relaxed. Because I know them well enough to be like, this is what they eat and this is what I have to make, and, you know.
Just compatible and comfortable. That's nice. Even just one friend, I find sometimes is a lot.
I think because you're used to your family units, you're used to just catering for you and doing what you normally do.
Or just catering for the toddler.
Yeah. Well, they do rule the roost. This is...
Absolutely.
Or your future child will come to learn. So you end up being like... Well, the toddler's had a tantrum, so we're just not going to go out today. We're all going to sit in and come up with some other activity we're going to want to do.
So scarily true. My family have a lot of space, which is just ideal for small children, isn't it? They just like to be able to run and not... They don't have a lot of breakable things to run into, which is really good. And they obviously have Macy 2 days a week for us as well.
Yes, they're used to it.
Yeah, and she's really comfortable there. So it just works, fortunately. And similarly with Mark's family, there's a bit less space, but she's so well catered for. It's unreal. She's got all the toys and everything else, and it's just... She's the only grandchild on that side so far, so she is centre of the world and pretty much how she likes it. Yeah.
This is handy, like, with my parents, because they have so many grandchildren. They've got, like, a set of toys they always have there, and they've got, like, 2 little bunk beds for anyone who stays. Your parents are too.
Just unnecessarily.
Yes. When do your parents have enough toys as if they had, like, 10 grandchildren? They only have 1.
What do you do about presents and things? Do you have, like, Father Christmas give Macy a gift? Or how do you negotiate that sort of
thing? That's a really good question. Because we haven't considered this about when to introduce Father Christmas as a present giver.
Yeah. This is it. So last year we did, I think Father Christmas brought her doll, because that was like a reasonably sized, easy to say, this is from Father Christmas.
Yeah.
And then everything else came from us. I mean, she didn't give a hoot. She was only dinky, yeah. But this year, I think it'd be similar. Although this year I have foolishly gone down the road of Elf on the Shelf.
Oh, so, no.
Yeah.
We literally had this discussion the other day, and I said, we are never doing Elf on the Shelf, because it seems like an awful lot of work, and I don't want to have to do that.
The beauty of it this year has been that she's not interested in the slightest in what antics the elf is up to. She is merely outraged that he got off the shelf. So all I really need to do is just position him around the house. It's been quite helpful.
So she's just like, how did he get that?
Pretty much. That elf is hiding. Yeah, I have to find him.
If the Elf on the Shelf was like that, I'd be quite happy to partake.
Absolutely.
I just feel like people send pictures and they put so much work in, which is fine, but I'm like, you've got to do that every year as long as they believe in the elf. Like, that's a lot of work.
This is it. And let's face it, no child is saying, Mum, Dad, I don't believe in the elf anymore. Yeah. There must be 15-years-olds out there pretending they still believe in the elf.
To be like, what are they going to do this year? They're like 10 years in. Absolutely. They're going to run out of things. That's my problem, because it looks creative and fun. Like, I can imagine enjoying doing things silly with the elf. I just don't want the pressure. It's very my sense of humour.
What are we doing about Father Christmas?
I don't know, the group decided. I know last year, technically, Lily had to have a present for Father Christmas, but that's because Nassie said... So this is my sister's child, they stay with the French lot, I'll call them. He was like, oh, has Lily got a present for Father Christmas? Because he's like, well, she's been good. And I was like, oh, yeah, she definitely does. And then I was like quickly looking at a present and like writing from Father Christmas on it to be like, there you go. Pretty sure something she already owned, and I just wrapped up and put from Father Christmas to appease Nassie, to be like, well, she's been really well behaved, she must have a present from Father Christmas. And I was like, oh, I wasn't going to bother, because I didn't consider that her cousins would be like, well, she's good. Where's her present? And I'd be like, oh, all right, okay. Yeah, I haven't done anything yet this year from Father Christmas.
Do you want to say what we got Lily last year for Christmas? Do you remember?
I clearly don't. Oh, is this where we just wrapped up a box? Yeah, we just wrapped up a cardboard box. Because they love cardboard boxes. And they liked their gift.
There's a lot to be said for a cardboard box. We always have at least 3 just hanging around the house that she won't let me get rid of.
We often have this. And it's like from an Amazon order, and she's just like, I'm going to sit in this now.
To be fair, I made a bit of a boo-boo last year and bought her a scooter, which was a brilliant idea, but in no way was she developmentally ready for it. So she's finally got to grips with it in the last 2 or 3 months. So it's been lovely that she's had it, but yeah, it was a complete waste of time for 9 months of the year. Never mind.
We always say, what does your child want? And we will get the thing that, like, we know within the price range of what we're working with that my child likes this, could you get them this? And normally everybody's like, cool. Which I think some people think is quite odd.
I find it odd. I want to know if it's a normal thing or not.
Yeah. So you've probably done this to be like, people go, that's really odd. But I'm like, yeah, we just tell each other what our child wants. And we're like, here, there's an Amazon link to it. Like, we literally even do the Amazon link to be like, this is the exact thing. You just have to click a button and get it. And then we're all done.
It's ideal, really, isn't it? It's just what you need. I think there's a lot to be said for that kind of structure. It works for the child getting something they want. The person buying it doesn't have to work too hard.
Yeah.
You know you're not going to fill your house to the rafters with 25 teddy bears that all do the same thing. It's just, yeah, it doesn't get much better than that, really. We don't do that in my family. Probably because we're too British to ask for things, I think. There's that kind of, it's not very polite though to say what you want, which is just a bit ridiculous, really. But yeah, so no, we don't really, but part of me wishes we did. It would be a lot easier.
Does that mean you end up with things where you go like, oh no, I really wish someone hadn't bought Macy that?
There is a little bit of that. You open it and go, oh wow, that's a lot of flashing bright lights. Oh, and it makes oh, wonderful, thank you. Yeah. And to be fair, let's face it, toddlers love it, don't they? They go bananas for it.
For trying to be Montessori all the time, she loves a plastic toy. And the more plastic and loud and noisy it is, the better.
And you're there going, but it's not open-ended.
Like,
it's not wooden.
You're meant to use your imagination, Lily. What are you doing? And she's like, but it flashes and it makes a noise and I like it.
This is it.
Even better if it makes bubbles. Extra points.
See, our current thing is that we like to go round the house with any random object, pretend it's a screwdriver and say, fix, fix, fix. And I'm like, she would love a toolkit for Christmas, but in no way am I buying a toolkit so that I have to constantly find the actual screwdriver.
Yeah.
When currently I can just pass her whatever small object is to hand and go, screwdriver! It's just too hard.
That's a good point.
Before I shift us on, do you want to share what we've got Lily for this Christmas?
Oh, yeah. So we went on eBay and got her, like, I say really old. It turns out Elliot told people at his work it was a really old card machine, and they talked about something we both had never heard of. He was like trying to explain it to me, and I was like, I don't know what that is. I don't mean really old. I mean like, probably from
like
10 years ago, where they're like quite a bulky card machine reader, and it's got like a little bit that attaches to it. And excitingly, it prints receipts. It does say error when you print it, but Lily won't care. Rather than buying a plastic till, we've brought a real machine reader that just doesn't work. And somebody was saying on eBay. But her thing is, she much prefers things that look real. People get fake car keys and stuff. I'm like, she don't want them. She wants
They
real
will
keys.
not be fobbed off, will they? No.
So I was like, this is great, because it's actually a real thing. So she's going to love it. Yeah, but that does seem a bit weird. Like, what have you got? Well, it's not technically a toy we've got it this year. It's actually like an old card machine reader.
That is inspired. I love it.
Well, I think it was our friend Luke who gave us the idea, because we were talking about how she loves playing tills, and she loves using my Barclays card thing as a thing. And he's like, well, why don't you get her one? And we were like, oh,
that's actually quite a smart move.
Why don't we just get her a real one? So yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
You've got a present for Macy that's
Nothing quite as creative as that, I have to be honest.
You've gone down the traditional toy route then.
Yeah, well, Almost. We've gone, we do a lot of sensory play and just mess making, basically. So I've gone for a more, it's like a custom built tray thing rather than just using the
See, this one I
baking
told her very
trays.
different. Lily really doesn't like, well, she likes sensory, but she doesn't like getting her hands dirty.
Sadly, sometimes is not a problem we have. The problem we have is containment and staying. No, stay there. Just stay. I'm just getting some. Stay. Ah! Panic.
Yeah.
So, well, my family don't do church, full stop, really. So I didn't go to church on Christmas Day until I was an adult and dating Mark, to be fair. So we just used to kind of batten down the hatches, really, on Christmas Day. And I really actually liked that because I think as a kid, what you really want is just that time with mum and dad and brothers or sisters, if you've got them as well. And just to kind of not have any expectations, not have to put a coat and your shoes on and go out for a walk or whatever. Just to be allowed to sit at home, watch TV, watch films, play with whatever you've got, read whatever book you got was just luxury. So it would literally be the four of us plus maybe an elderly relative visiting, and that was it. So yeah, that was totally different to what we do now, but
That
magical in
sounds
its
nice,
own way.
though.
Yeah.
We used to do, like, we'd have done midnight mass the night before. So we'd always did midnight mass. But I quite enjoyed midnight mass. I mean, but then we wouldn't go to a service on Christmas Day because you'd have done midnight mass. Some people would, but, you know, we're not hardcore like that. We would be like, well, we've been up at midnight. we're gonna stay the rest of the day in the house. But that'd be quite exciting as a child because you knew it turned into Christmas while you were there.
Yeah.
It was quite similar, as in, there was a lot of us, so it was quite lively, but we didn't go anywhere. And because Dad was a farmer, he still liked to go and feed all the animals.
Of course.
So I used to find it funny when people would go places. I'm like, well they're still busy. Like, it's not like we have the day off, really. It'd just be like, you'd have the little coal fire on, and you'd all get... I don't get it when you are staying at home all day and people get dressed. I'm like, you wear your Christmas pyjamas all day. You're really ruining it if you're getting dressed properly. This is my pet. I think this is why I want a Christmas where we're just staying in our house, because go to anyone else's house, you have to get dressed. And I just want to stay in my Christmas pyjamas all day. Open presents, eat chocolate, you know.
Is your family into matching Christmas pyjamas?
No. Mostly because we're just not that organised. I feel like it's quite a recent thing and I can't see Mark getting on board with it, so it's just an expense that I've saved myself.
We are matching pyjamas, aren't we? We are. Well, I say we. I've always made us do it. I don't think before Lily I got you on board, but since we've had Lily, he's been on board with the matching pyjamas. But we do normally go to church on Christmas Day, like when we're here. Well, actually,
Never.
You haven't. I normally take the bannies with me.
Oh,
Okay.
Last Christmas.
Yes.
But one Christmas, I don't know if you can say always when it's been one Christmas.
Yes, but that's true. But it's been the one since Lily's been kind of around. Before that, it was lockdown. Because we haven't really had any other Christmases to do things.
That's true, I stayed and did the cooking.
Yeah, you stayed and do the cooking. I think that could be a tradition where you stay and do the cooking and I take me, the bannies and any children we have to church. Because it seems to work
Leave
well.
the one that works for the church at home.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe you get enough church, so you're like, I'll just stay and cook. And I'm like, hey, we'll go, it's done.
There you go. Did you enjoy talking to Vicki?
I really did. Like I said, it's just sometimes nice. I feel like I should invite people on the podcast just so I get a nice chit chat with them because we never have time. Because every time I hang out with Vicki, I'm like, we should chat and hang out more. But you know, when you're both parents, you never get to see each other.
Yeah. It's always
So
fun,
if you
isn't
suddenly
it?
get invited to the podcast, it's because I'm like, I just want to chat with somebody.
It was fascinating to hear how, like, with Vicki and her family and Mark's family, because they're all quite close and they all live around the Harrogate area, kind of how that's very different to our scenario. And I'd not really considered what it'd be like if you all kind of live in the same place and you can go and visit everyone in the same day and do all that sort of stuff.
And I can see it could be stressful, but in another way, it's quite nice that nobody's going to feel left out. Everybody's going to be seen on the same day, and it's kind of all done and dusted.
This is why we like to invite people on the podcast, because it brings a different perspective, and they have different things going on to us, and things we'd never considered. So really interesting. Yeah, so we negotiate, whether we do alternate years, whether we kind of...
We're currently doing alternate years.
Sort of, yeah.
But I think once we decide to have our next child, I would like a Christmas by ourselves, really.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very aware that a lot of your family listen to the podcast, so no offence to you, Becky, or anyone else. We love seeing you.
Becky's welcome to come.
Yeah. And I enjoy seeing all your family. It's a big difference for me because, as we alluded to, like, Christmases at my house are pretty quiet. When I was growing up, it was just like the three of us because I'm an only child, and my dad was busy taking services and stuff on Christmas Day and all around then as he was a minister. And yeah, just very, very different from your busy, big, loud, lively family.
Yeah. I think that they're all good descriptors of my family, loud and lively.
It's good. I enjoy it. It's like how I imagine Christmas.
The fact we get to see everybody. I like the whole, with my family, we have a big party where you actually get to see everybody.
Yeah, this is what I was going to touch on because I don't know how well we explained it in the thing, was around, you're an identical quadruplet, and so you have a huge family.
I also have two older sisters.
And you all get together a few days after Christmas for a big party. That's a tradition you have every year.
It is, yeah.
And I also thought we should clarify, because I think we just kind of use it as a throwaway line around that this is called the Womble Party.
Oh, yes, it is, yeah. I forget also, because Vicki knows us quite well, she knows they're called the Wombles. My family call themselves the Wombles. I don't know, because really it's because my mum she's very minimalist. She does not like junk. So she likes what she calls wombling, which actually isn't really what the Wombles do, because the Wombles recycle and reuse things. Whereas it's more like
I've never thought of that before.
Well, she does recycle the stuff, I guess, but it's more like she clears for everything and chucks things out. But anyway, for ages, she really said she liked wombling.
This could be a whole topic
Could be a whole,
itself,
yeah.
I just thought we should
basically
expand a little.
Womble Christmas is Christmas with my family.
Yeah.
And the Womble party is the big party.
That's it. Probably like what it's like for our listeners. Listening to you and Vicky, I was constantly wanting to jump in and be like, oh, I want to tell my story.
At one point, it was like, oh, say how it's opposite to what I used to be like. And I was like, I don't know how it's opposite.
A lot of what I remember was just like sat on an afternoon with my parents asleep, like reading a book, which is quite cozy. But it's very different from that, like
playful
games.
Yeah.
One thing we didn't mention very much was like food at Christmas, which I feel is
it's a huge topic.
Kind of part of it. We could do.
It was almost my answer to you when you said, "What's your favourite thing about Christmas?" Before you kind of
steered you in the right direction
into the family thing.
Well, because that's what.
Because then I thought I'd sound like a jerk. I was like, "No, it's food."
Yeah, it made me think. One of the memories I do have is like being a teenager.
As a growing boy?
Yeah, like as a growing teenager. I was one of those typical like young lads who could like eat a ton. And so Christmas was a dream. You could just eat so much.
For my small size, I could eat a ton.
Yeah.
But then I'd be like, laid out.
These days, sometimes struggle to adapt to the fact that I'm no longer that growing teenager. And I cannot eat nearly as much. And even though I enjoy the food, it's like sometimes I'm like, oh, what should we cook for Christmas dinner? And my mind goes crazy.
It does.
I'm like, we really don't need that much food.
Like, oh, thank you so much. In my head, I'd be like, I don't know how I'm going to eat all this.
At this point in life as well, with like a child and as a dad, I'm really trying to be like healthy and like get in shape. It's not going well, especially now. If you're listening to this like in real time in the run up to Christmas, it's just it's out the window now. I've been like eating mince pies every day. It's not going well.
And it's not even that Lily's been feeding you them. Have we got any parenting stories to share?
Why, Emma? Yes, we do. That was perfectly natural. So this special episode, I haven't got a particular comment from an individual to share, but I did, over the last few weeks, I've been kind of asking questions and polling our listeners on Facebook and Instagram about how they cope with like the challenges and stuff around having babies and toddlers at Christmas time. I think we do have a big swing towards more listeners with toddlers at the moment rather
Yeah.
than babies. So some of the responses, you know, in the poll particularly came out as, you know, like the overexcitement, overstimulation, all that type of stuff came out as the most the biggest challenges for some of our listeners. And one of the things we haven't really touched on is kind of like just the pressure on parents, the kind of the parent guilt, the pressure to enjoy things, even though you know it might be Christmas, but we still got a parent. That,
Yeah.
you know, it's still there.
This is grandparents. They're always like, oh, but it's Christmas. And I'm like, yeah, but if I let them get away with it now, they're going to think that's fine to get away with it anytime.
And you talked to Vicki about this, but it is a difficult time of year for kids to be able to behave and stuff. And already some of our listeners were telling us how in the run up to Christmas, it's already getting challenging as kids get excited. It's just kind of really chaotic. Kids are getting grumpy.
Yeah.
And so therefore it makes it more difficult to, you know, do everything. And routines just kind of go out the window. And at this stage, it's just like, well, we'll just look ahead to
We'll just get through
2024.
Christmas. Yeah.
Then we can start again. There you go. There's some stuff from some of our listeners. If you have stories, parenting achievements, anything, do send them in. You know, contact us through all the different ways and blah 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 blah. Through the internet waves of magicalness.
Very magical.
And we'll share on another episode.
Or send us a letter like Father Christmas.
Yeah, we haven't given people our address, and I don't think that's a good idea. So maybe not.
They just have to put it up the fireplace. It gets to us.
Well, thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for supporting us through 2023 and, you know, the launch of this podcast. It's been great to have you along. We're looking forward to doing loads more episodes in the new year. Special thanks to Vicki. Ho, ho, ho. Merry Dishmas.
Merry Dishmas.
Bye, everyone. Happy holidays. Happy Xmas. Happy New Year. Bye-bye.